Nathan Hale. You know that there's 5 million pages of law? You know there's 5 million pages of law in America? 5 million pages of law. Is there any goddamn lawyer or judge that's read, or citizen that's read every single law in America? No. How many goddamn laws? That's my favorite shoe. That's my favorite shoe. I'm just kidding. Everybody wants some attention. Okay. Scarface. Let me tell you a fact, okay? So you got the Sarbanes-Oxley law, right? This is about Gorsuch. It's about Gorsuch. And Neil Gorsuch, I kept saying such. So Neil Gorsuch, he wrote a book. Neil Gorsuch wrote a book. And the main thing that he wants to talk about, the first anecdote that he talks about is how we are overruled. We have too many goddamn laws. And so he wants to talk about Sandra and John Yates. And so that's what I'm going to talk about, is Sandra and John Yates. Who is Sandra and John Yates? Here's the book, in case anybody was doubting it. Overruled by Neil Gorsuch and Janie Nitze. So the anecdote that this book begins on, this is actually a famous goddamn Supreme Court case. And what this Supreme Court case, the facts behind the case, is you got this guy, he's a fisherman, and he's trying to catch red grouper or some shit down in Florida. And you're allowed to catch red grouper, but they got to be bigger than, is it 16 inches, 18 inches, 20 inches? It's got to be bigger than, I don't know, say 20 inches. They're going to change the law to 18 inches, but while it was 20 inches, they found a couple in his goddamn boat that was actually 19 and a half inches. But they weren't measuring the jaw. If they would have measured the jaw, they would have seen that all of them were actually within the standards. And this case is going to absolutely overturn Sandra and John Yates' life because of 30 red groupers. So the agent, the federal agent, came in, measured the fucking shit on the boat, and then said, all right, we're going to measure it when you get off the boat. And when they came back, they got the boat and they measured it, and they said, wait a second. You don't have all the red groupers here. You measured differently. You got rid of some of these red groupers. You destroyed evidence. And so now, Sandra and John Yates, who were just some humble fishermen, catching some fish off the coast of Florida, now they got a federal lawsuit where they're being accused of tampering with evidence. Tampering and destroying evidence. Rosa, she is into this. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Who was it that said that? That was Beria. That was the goddamn motherfucking Politburo. That was under Stalin. So the secret police under Stalin, they said, just show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Oh, that's the fucking guy? Oh, well, he, the jaywalking, the regulation, all the tags expired. Busted taillight. Oh, no, his windshield is a little dirty. You gotta wash that windshield. There's something you can catch. According to Neil Gorsuch, there's so many goddamn laws in America that you could get anybody, convict anybody, charge anybody with any fucking crime whatsoever. Right now, James Comey is looking at lying to the Senate or some shit. But you just had Kristi Noem that she claimed that she knew what habeas corpus was. And she didn't. She lied. She lied to the Senate. How's that any fucking different? You know what habeas corpus is? Yes, it says that the president gets to fuck over anybody's rights in this country. No, habeas corpus says the opposite of that. You could try to kidnap somebody and throw them into some sort of secret prison, but habeas corpus says that you have the right for your case to be brought before a judge. And it's actually the smallest thing in the world. If you're going to kidnap somebody and throw them into a goddamn secret prison, have a fucking reason. You got to rate. If you have a reason, then you go ahead and especially if it meets probable cause, then that satisfies habeas corpus. It's a very low standard, but Kristi Noem lied. She lied. So it's not just Sandra and John Yates, even though their case is ridiculous, because they're going to change the law later on to where they allow 18-inch red groupers. So they changed the law to where they're allowed to have the size that they were accusing him of having, and he was not in compliance of at the time. It's fucking bullshit. And because he's got to fight this charge of tampering with evidence, this is going to take years upon years, and then ultimately the Supreme Court is going to err on his side by like a 4-to-1 split, a plurality split. And it's going to be based upon the tampering with evidence. They said, like, you can't tamper with documents or records or any tangible object. Documents, records, any tangible object. And so the way that they understood that grouping, this Sarbanes-Oxley, this is a financial thing. This is Enron. Enron crashes. And so they have a financial law to make sure that Enron never happens again. So how the fuck are these fishermen off the coast of Florida getting hit with this Enron passed law? It makes no fucking sense. It's almost like the Sherman Antitrust Act. The whole point of the Sherman Antitrust Act is to make sure that monopolies are smashed. We're going to make sure that there's no more monopolies. But the Sherman Antitrust Act is going to be used to shut the strikes, the unions down. What is it, the Portman? So there's 300,000 federal statutes. There's a magician who was harassed over a rabbit's USDA paperwork. Hey, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Pulls out a lion. Oh my God, I got to get a new hat. No, actually, you got to get a new rabbit. But I just pulled out a lion. I know, but the rabbit didn't have the USDA paperwork, and so you are in violation of federal law. Amish farmers are facing federal overreach. There's a hair braider. Apparently you can't braid hair. You have to braid hair in a certain way. The complexity of the legal system is destroying our personal liberties. We're having these Kafkaesque legal battles. Dissertation on euthanasia, natural law. Oxford doctor, natural law scholar John Finnis, law should align with fundamental human dignity and the common good. Overregulation betrays the constitutional natural laws' foundation, EPA and USDA. They act like mini legislatures. Federal crimes alone are uncountable. Hey, how many crimes are in the federal system? We don't know. We don't know. There's 300,000 statutes. There's over 5 million pages of federal laws. So the feds are stretching charges creatively. They turn minor slip-ups into felonies. 97% of federal charges end up in plea deals because massive sentences force people to fold. Prosecutors have enormous power to ruin people's lives. And a trial can add decades to a sentence. Agencies self-adjudicate. Agencies are investigating, prosecuting, and judging. So agencies are doing all the work. that the three branches are supposed to be doing. Mandatory minimums are bullshit.